Okay, so it is April 19th, Monday. It's really early in the morning. It's only like 7:15, which is by far the earliest I've ever recorded this, but I happen to be up early because I went to sleep for once, in a long time, like really early last night just 'cause I was exhausted. I had a long, crazy weekend, crazy in a good way, and very productive. Um, but yeah, I was just exhausted, and so I sleep so early that I was awake at like 5 a.m. Like, oh wow, I slept a lot. But I wanted to start by giving a review of super amazing experience I had on Saturday evening, which was I attended the Gregangelo Museum. My friend Ellie was performing in it, and basically the Gregangelo Museum is a house in San Francisco that's ran by Gregangelo, uh, this guy, San Francisco native, who I believe started the Velocity City Circus, and basically it's an amazing, amazing next level artistic uh, house. That's actually really kind of like an understatement. It's this amazing next level immersive experience where I first attended like 3 years ago or so. I mean, time's flying, so I don't even know. Maybe 2 years ago, maybe three now. Can't even tell. Maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. The point is that basically it's this amazing house. Um, you can look it up on YouTube. Just type in Greg Angelo Museum. That's what it's called. And so when I first attended, um, I got to walk through. I went and hung out because I met them because so I do Airbnb experiences. I host an immersive experience at my studio, and when I first began, so yeah, it must have been like 3 years ago, right? Because yeah, I first started that like 3 years ago, and I went to the orientation, right? And one of the people participating was one of the volunteers from Greg Angelo Museum, and he recognized me. He had seen me perform before, and he said, "Hey, I seen you play," and you know, gave me his contact info. We chatted, and he told me about the Greg Angelo Museum, that he was a volunteer there, and said, "Yeah, one of these days I should come because also like sometimes they would have performers, like musical performers come and you know do a show or whatever." And so eventually I went. I went with my friend Jesus on a Tuesday because it was the day that they were like, I guess every Tuesday they were meeting with like artists in the community and having lunch and just kicking it. So I went, um, and they gave me a walkthrough of the house, and it was just incredible, just so amazing. I guess the closest I could compare it to is the Meow Wolf in New Mexico. There's a amazing mansion turned next level Tim Burton movie looking thing called they call it Meow Wolf, and I only know about that because my clients actually told me about it. They were like, "Wow, this is like the Meow Wolf," even though my at the time my studio was so tiny that it was like the closet version of something you'd see in Meow Wolf. But anyway, so um, yeah, so this Saturday, uh, I went and I attended um, the Gregangelo Museum. It was like, I think it was their closing night. They've been doing this series, and my friend Ellie was performing in it. So she said, "Oh, you got to come check it out." So I went, and the interesting thing though is because of the whole 2020 situation, now they created a whole exterior version, so they can't have people come inside because the thing. Um, but they created they elaborated the whole the installation to they created it outside, so in the exterior of the house, like in the garden and in the side of the house and then toward the rear of the house, um, they created this whole circus next level. It was so amazing. It was just incredible. It was magical and inspiring on so many levels. I mean, I don't even know where to start. It's one of those things you just kind of have to see it. It's There were all these performers, so it's curated in such a way where you have like a variety of people walk you through. Like first, it's like a safari person that kind of brings you in, and then there's these like people in costumes that come out. So there's like probably like 10 people involved, I think, between like people dressed up like monkeys. Like I remember first we were greeted by two people dressed up like monkeys, and they were so funny. It was so hilarious. And then like a person in like a safari outfit, and then the outfits, the costumes were just like spectacular. It was beautiful. It was like I remember, we're walking along. Just the amount of elaborate work done is just befuddling. It's just mind blowing. I remember there was one. It kind of reminds me. Some of it reminded me. I remember one instance reminded me of the REM video for Losing My Religion. Remember in Losing My Religion, they're like, in the video, they're like, people are dressed up all just next level, trippy, just out there, That's what some of the outfits, some of the costumes were like. There was one, I remember there was one part where we go to this one, it's at the side of the house, but, now it's like covered, it's like completely, just so ornate, elaborate, and just next level. And in the windowsill, there was like, this woman sitting there playing a violin, wearing this just next level out costume, right? She's playing the violin, and it was just like beautiful. It almost like brought a tear to my eye, because it was just like, oh my god, this is just so glorious. Then my friend Ellie, who I couldn't even recognize really, like, because she was her whole outfit. I mean, of course, wearing the mask, but in this context, it was like just beautiful, like just like the whole elaborate, ornate. Costume, and she was playing the harp. That's not how you play the harp. However you play the harp, you know, um, singing and playing the harp, and then we went to another room where there was this guy dressed up like a rabbit, and he like opened a curtain, and there was literally like 10 rabbits, like white bunny rabbits, and he was singing "White Rabbit" by Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Airplane, which is my jam, right? Because that's the song that I do. It's one of the many songs that I do. That was the song that was featured. So I recently did my last video where I did a legit video of me in my new studio. I did Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit, and Leonard Cohen, Everybody Knows. And so I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe he's doing White Rabbit. He was singing it, and he was singing kind of like a Las Vegas lounge version of White Rabbit, and so there was I say there was white rabbits, but they were like enclosed in this entire like infinity mirror. There was like infinity mirror with, but like lights, whatever. It was amazing, and like bright colors. It was like something out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And then he opens up his thing, and he's like, pick a tincture, or what was it, like, it was like he was like, I don't know, okay, I'm trying to explain it, and there's no explanation, you just have to see it. It's just like incredible, beyond amazing. Okay, it's really early, like I said, it's 7 in the morning, so I'm like, or 7:30 now, so like, I'm a bit, my mind is still a bit foggy, but the point is you have to go see it. You have to go see, if you're in San Francisco and you want to see just something beautiful, amazing, inspiring, next level, check out the Gregangelo Museum. Super, just I again, like, I mean, if this is what they could do outside, I mean, either way it's amazing, right? But this is the closest thing to just like an ultra magical experience you're gonna see, that's not like over the top corporate, like kind of played out. This is actually quite genuine and incredible on so many levels. So yes, that was Saturday. What was intense was that so I had a client, a Crystal Aerospace Experience client through Airbnb. as usual. Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., right? And then afterward, I, got ready, changed, and did the whole thing, and then headed, to Greg Angelo's. And, yeah, that was amazing. So I had a client, my last two clients, well, the one before this on Saturday, it was a couple. So it was a wife. She had gotten it for her husband. She had read my article that came out in the SF Gate, like, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago now. That's how she learned about me, and so she figured, oh, this will be an amazing surprise birthday gift for my husband. So it was for her husband. He was from New Zealand, and so she got in touch with me like a month ago, or I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago, and she booked it. But I've had a whole barrage of clients, right? So I remember she sent me an email, and she said, "Oh, this is a surprise for my husband, and he's from New Zealand, so here's some of his favorite music." And she told me, like, she said he really likes EDM and some other like New Zealand artists that that he really liked, which were relatively obscure, I guess, at least for here in the U.S., but like over there they're well known. Um, and So she sent it to me as an email, but and I remember at the time what was good was that at the time when she sent it, despite that the fact that it was 3 weeks or a month whatever, however long it was, well, a long time before the actual experience, right away I started to like do the whole thing where I look for, I explore the artists, I explore their catalog and start to this, oh, could I use this? How about this song? Oh, maybe I'll use this song. Because what happened was that subsequent to that, I, again, I have so many other clients that I got caught up with all the clients I had, at the time, and I kind of forgot about it. Meaning, like, I was busy preparing for other clients. So this client was coming up, and the thing was, prior to this client on Saturday, I had a previous client, Airbnb experience, Crystal Mirror Space client, on Thursday, right? Thursday. She had also booked it a while ago, but I was getting ready for that, and then I figured, whatever, I'll have Friday to prepare for the Saturday one, and they haven't got. In my mind, I was like, oh, because I was just reading the inbox, the Airbnb experience inbox that I communicate with my clients with, and I was like, who do I have? Okay, this lady named Mara, and okay, she hasn't told me what to play, so whatever, maybe that one will be yeah, they haven't got in touch. Then it hit me because after I was done with my Thursday client, she whatever, at some point, I think that night, she said, hey, listen, can we make it at 7:30 because we were gonna go to dinner? And I was like, and oh no, she emailed me. So right away it jogged my memory. I was like, oh, she had gotten in touch. Right, this was that lady about the EDM and the New Zealand music. And I was like, oh damn, she did tell me. Okay, well, so then after I was done with my Thursday client, this really cool girl from Tennessee who came to see me, and I did a whole set for her with like Sade, Prince, and Bjork, and all this other music that I downloaded, like that she asked for, like Kali Uchis and Hot Pink. No, was it Blackpink, and some other artists. It was all these interesting artists, trippy, different. So I was like, okay, well, here we go. Let me just. So I pretty much worked on it. I was already tired. By the time I was done with my Thursday client, I was like, okay, I'm exhausted, but let me just get a head start on. Okay, they're coming. This other clients are coming Saturday, so let me start figuring something out. So I remember I forced myself to like put in time that night, and then I had all of Friday. So I put myself through it on Friday, even though I was like, I was tired, and I'm not drinking coffee anymore, so that's kind of a, it can be kind of rough, like, I just kind of try to just drink water and drink, like, what is it, kombucha. That's been my kick lately, like, oh, I'll just drink kombucha, and, but I spent a whole day on it, like, throughout the day, then into the night. Then I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be too exhausted. Let me just come back the next day. And I was there early, then prepared. Finally, they came, and I was ready, you know. Um, and I did my thing, and I killed it, you know. Like they loved it. They were so into it. She was so grateful. The guy was just blown away. Um, and it all went well. And then afterwards, you know, got ready, changed, and went to the Gregangelo Museum, and that was just lovely as hell. So that was the main thing. I want people to know about the Gregangelo Museum because they're so incredible. It's such a beautiful experience, and again, it makes me sad to think that man, they're being denied the ability to do this. The way it was initially intended, which was like in the house, not like, but they have, kind of brought out the best, and this is whole situation is bringing out like the best and the worst in people because, of course, they're gonna figure out a way. Of course, they're like incredible, next level, amazing artists who will adapt and create and just like, you know, and they did, and it was just so inspiring, you know. That was the main thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, and Greg Angelo, he's been a huge kind of like supporter of what I do, um, like you know, a fellow artist, San Francisco artist, doing his thing, and like, so I just really love to support and be part of that, extended community of artists here in San Francisco, because the arts, it's as sad as it is to say, the arts and music are not a thing in San Francisco anymore. And that sounds like how? It's San Francisco. But then again, it's also the most expensive city in the country, especially in this era where arts and music are deemed non-essential. It's crazy because yesterday one of my good friends, well, an old good friend who I've known for years, I hadn't seen in years actually, but like real super cool cat, um, DJ friend of mine, he hit me up out of the blue, and he was like, "Hey, well, the thing is, he's moving because of this whole situation going on. A lot of people have had to move out of the San Francisco Bay Area, but he had some family issues. A parent passed away, so he has to move back home, back east, and to take care of all stuff and like kind of like primarily because now that because of the 2020 situation, his whole line of work was canceled. Like he was like um, AV, like audio visual tech kind of person at venues um, in San Francisco. So now there's no venues, and he was also a DJ who ran a very successful weekly, like a house music weekly that was killing it. I remember back in the day, I was like, oh yeah, it was always jam packed, like when they're weekly out the window. So his whole line of work and his whole like passion like was canceled, and so he came to visit. He had heard about my studio, he'd seen the article, and he's always in touch on social media, and he'd been telling me like, oh yeah, we gotta kick it one of these days again. So he came through, which was great. We hung out. He brought his buddy who's like a sound engineer, producer, and we just had a blast. And he was really inspired by my space. He hadn't seen it from the inside, even though he's seen the videos. When he actually walked in, he was like, "Oh my god, this is dope." And we got in a big long discussion about this, that, and the other. Like going down memory lane when we first met. I actually didn't remember this, but he had like seen me in Amsterdam when I was on the Pleasant Revolution tour, where I was, in 2010, I did a 6-month bike music tour in Europe with a whole group called the Pleasant Revolution, and we were biking through Europe, playing concerts, carrying like all our gear on these special bicycles called extra cycles that we had all our stuff, biking through Europe 6 months doing and they had developed a pedal powered sound system. So at our concerts, and we were carrying everything. I mean, sounds incredible, but it was incredible. So yeah, he told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw you play in that one plaza square in Amsterdam," and then I was like, "Oh wow," because that was like 11 years ago now, right? You know, I had remembered him from when we ran into each other and talked at F8 in San Francisco, and then known each other since then. Like, just kind of been in touch online, mainly like social media, always like checking each other's stuff out. So anyway, so it was really interesting. It was great to connect with people, old friends, and just vibe. You know, and just sort of like, now a year into this whole shutdown takeover thing that's really gone on. Um, it was a trip. He was telling me how he's gonna move back east, and um, basically, you know, the way this whole situation has left him completely with nothing. Like left him, you know, kind of like just took away, pretty much took away everything that. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to get all into that, but it's a thing. I mean, I'm always analyzing. For me, everything worked out great because it's like, oh well, I just happened to be a few years into creating this experience that's like a 1 to 4 person venue, music, artistic, immersive venue. And I guess because of the clout that Airbnb has, they were able to keep their, bring back Airbnb experiences, even though it was shut down from March till October, late October, practically December, because it was like basically like the last day of, like the last few days of October, it reopened, and then I reemerged with clients once again, doing my experiences. Just amazing, 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 amazing. I feel so blessed, but at the same time, it's bittersweet because I feel so bad for the people that have been completely dispossessed, both in a tangible sense of like the tangible things that were lost, like their livelihood, straight up, and then like the things that like for my friend who was doing this successful weekly, it was like more than just like. I mean, he was probably making some money from it, but it wasn't like his main thing. It was just like, it was a place of a community. So that entire community got decimated. Whereas like all of a sudden, okay, you're not allowed to meet and have this joyous community music experience. It's messed up, It's totally messed up. And you know, that is what it is. And we'll see. This is all a big social experiment for sure. It's a medical experiment by definition. The whole V thing. I don't even want to say the word because I think you get like shadow banned if you say the dreaded word. But even though you see it everywhere, but you're not allowed to weigh in on it unless it's in one direction. So I'll just call it the V. But it's funny because V, right? That was that show back in the. I remember when I was like in elementary school, there was a show that came out called V, and it was it's I think they remade it like in the late 2000s, but the original one, right? V was about it came out on TV, and it was about these aliens that landed, and one of the cities was San Francisco that they showed prominently, like the visitors. They call them the visitors, right? That was part of what V stood for, and they would land in these spaceships in all the major cities all over the world, right? And they showed like in San Francisco the Golden Gate Bridge, and like the special effects were so bad. It was like not very special effects because it was like early 80s and made for TV. Anyway, they'd land in these spaceships, and they had like, I rewatched it recently, like in recent years, and it was so hokey, but at the time I was like, oh my god. Anyway, these aliens, emerge from these spaceships, and at first they seemed like, oh, they were allies of humanity, but really they were like intent on taking over and decimating humanity. Like it was a takeover in disguise, and they were actually like wearing masks, and like they would take their mask off, and they were like reptilian aliens, and they would eat like humans. That was the thing, is humans were their food source. Why did I bring that up? Because I just did, and I remember why. But anyway, so V. Then they remade it in the late 2000s, and it was like, now it was like CGI everything, and I didn't even watch it. I saw clips on YouTube. Creepy as hell, of course, right? So creepy. Everything's so creepy. But anyway, so yeah. Now I'm just rambling, and it's San Francisco. It's foggy. I'm happy to be up early. In my mind, it's like Sunday, but it's actually Monday morning because this whole weekend was just a blur, you know. And yesterday, I was just like, after I kicked it with my friends, I finally was like, okay, now I'm officially exhausted, fatigued, and I went home and I got in bed. I had a bad headache. It was one of those things where even though I kind of woke up with it because I was like, I had been up basically all night, you know, and like I went to sleep at like 5 in the morning, Saturday night. It was crazy. I was up doing this, that, and the other, um, and finally hit me. So I think I'm gonna make this a thing. I'm gonna try to, like, now that I'm actually up this early, which I haven't done forever. I'm not gonna see if like, okay, maybe now I'm like reset, you know, just like our whole society's been reset, right? So maybe I'm like, because I want to be productive and I have to go pay my. So I started my own the Genie Music business. I did the whole thing on, you know, a few years ago where then I have to go pay my with the SF Treasury Business Bureau, whatever I have to pay. I don't even know how much, but if I don't pay by today, I get like some fine, late fee for. It's crazy 'cause I did this a couple years ago, maybe like 2 years ago, thinking like, oh, okay, well, I'll start my business because whatever, right? So yeah, I gotta go pay that. So I guess it's good that I'm up this early. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about the Gregangelo Museum and just speak my mind, kind of like in Star Trek. Remember Captain's Log? I mean, I'm in a spaceship, so you know it's apropos. I'm up here in Bernal Heights. There's people walking around. Again, I see these people. It's like, you know, it's like 8 in the morning. There's no people aren't really up and about walking, but there are a few people walking their dogs, some joggers. But for all intents and purposes, it's quite sparse. There's not really many people yet. You know, virtually every single person I've seen thus far is walking around with a mask on, despite the fact that there's nobody around. And we're way up here right now. I'm up in the hill area, like, you know, SF is mountainous. San Francisco's very mountain, like, you know, there's a lot of hills. Hey, hi there. This guy just like in his mask, of course. Older man was like peeking in my car, like, whoa, what is this? I get that a lot. I'm not gonna show people, but people are walking by like with their dog, but there's nobody around. Like the idea that they have to wear a mask when there's literally no one around, like, in this manner, or like, you know, again, people out here are like extra when it comes to the paranoia. Like people here, you know, about half the people wear their mask in their car by themselves. You know what I mean? People double mask. What is this person doing? Yeah, it's funky. People like think of creative ways to over mask even. Like there it's to the point that it's as if they've been conditioned to fear air. Like they're literally afraid of the air. Because at this point there's not even anybody around. They're just like they've been conditioned, you know. And fear is just it's being used to control people because it's such an effective way to control people. If you keep them in fear, and they're just like it's even become integrated into their gait, how they walk, their posture, and their micro expressions. Just scream fear, paranoia, neuroticism. You know, um, it's bizarre. Again, some of these people either they're wearing this black mask that just feels like just looks kind of dark, something out of like some dark stormtrooper like dystopia, some sci-fi movie about a future of just, you know, oh shit, that was me. Okay, put my leg down. Other people, it just looks so wacky. Or they wear like the medical one, like the light blue medical, you know, where it looks like they're in a doctor's office, but they're really just walking around in public. Like, it looks so weird. It looks so weird. You would think people would like maybe just wear it only if they had to comply inside of an establishment, but not outside. It's almost like the outside world is like an open air prison, you know. And I remember like back in 20 years ago, literally in 2001, I was part of a delegation. We went to Palestine for 2 weeks and visited West Bank and Gaza on as essentially like a peace, you know, a delegation and exploration, and talk to people from every side of the situation, you know, there, and get everybody's story, and get, you know, and it was very, 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 very incredible and sad, inspiring, eye-opening, um, and beautiful all at once. Um, but yeah, I remember when I was in Gaza in particular, I really got a sense of how they were imprisoned. We were in an open air prison, and you could feel it and sense it, particularly in Gaza. In West Bank, is, you know, there was a lot of. It was just so beautiful. I can't believe it's been 20 years, but whatever. It's been 20 years, and I fell so in love with the vibe and the beauty that I saw in humanity, because you don't really see that in the cities. In the cities, everyone's like to themselves, and especially in this situation we're living in, where people avoid each other and they're like just scared, and it's really quite a pathetic vibe, you know. But I remember back then I was just so overwhelmed and taken aback by how friendly and selfless people were, in the sense that, like, to strangers, like, or, you know, they just like so giving and generous, you know what I mean, like in a way that I had never seen in, you know, in regular society that I'm used to. People just avoid each other. They're not, you know, they don't greet each other. They're not, you know, they're just, you can just tell they're lost in their own world. Yeah, walking through a society of just masked people like this, it's depressing, and I can see why, you know, like, why it's had such a terrible effect on people's psychological, mental, and spiritual health. You know, apparently the suicide rates are at an all-time high. You know, every week sets a new record for suicides, and somehow those lives don't matter. It's just about this one specific thing that counts. Like, all the other lives being lost, all the businesses that are being lost, you know, people's livelihood that's being destroyed, whole people, you know, the way people are being, like, completely torn apart from their communities, and, like, made to not, you know, young people who can, like, they're just being alienated and made to just, you know, they can only experience the world through a screen, you know, through the digital spectrum. I can sense and tell, and it's pretty much obvious, that we're being, basically, humans are now being re-engineered to only interact through screens, to avoid each other, to be basically alienated and atomized, and, you know, completely separated. You know, and it makes sense. Like, if you were going to take over, you know, a whole nation of hundreds of millions of people, what better way to, like, take over than to make everyone complete, you know, to completely separate everybody, to make it essentially to condition people so that, like, over time, you know, they would, like, police themselves and police each other. And, you know, it's an attack on humanity, and it's a spiritual warfare, and it's always been going on, but now this is like the magnum opus. This is the ultimate. This was like, this was the big coming out party. This is where, like, the entire worldwide takeover takes place, you know. And the propaganda is real, and, you know, it's, even though we're a year into it, still feels like we're in the beginning of it, because it's going to ramp up, and it's planned. And, you know, I wish more people had more discernment and wisdom, and didn't just react to the mainstream program, you know, the download, you know. It's one of those things I almost have to talk in code, because, you know, if you raise any red flag, like, the society's been, you know, just turned against each other, and any opposing view has been weaponized, so that you're not allowed to have an opposing view. You have to, you know, it would seem you have to just go along with the narrative, or you know, there's almost like there's a script in place to, like, counteract anyone with any skepticism. Is just like, now deemed like, oh no, if you don't go along with exactly what, you know, the mainstream narrative, with all the talking heads and all the paid celebrities, and you know, it's interesting. Again, I always bring up the rat utopia experiment that I've researched because it's so fascinating. I got into it and then I realized once this 2020 situation happened, I said, oh wow, this is like in the rat utopia experiment. I'm not going to get into it again because I'm about to get my day started. But yeah, look up the rat utopia experiment. Um, and then it'll give you an idea of why humans are reacting the way they are now, because we're essentially in this kind of society, like in mega cities or in major cities like this one, like in San Francisco. I feel like we are part of a big experiment, and yeah, but I refuse to give up my humanity, and at the end of the day, I feel like there's a bigger force, a bigger. We were made to feel like the establishment is essentially God. You know what I mean? Like God is on the money. They, you know, but I don't. I believe that there's a higher power. And not even talking about in religious terms, because that's almost part of the thing, to like get people, to dissuade people, get them turned off from the shenanigans of official corporate religion, establishment religion, so that they're like, oh, I I don't fall for that. I only trust the establishment and the science because I'm smart, whatever, right? It's all a sham, basically, and you have to kind of like find your own internal voice and inner wisdom and higher wisdom, if to like really get through this. And this whole 2020 situation has really shown me that it, in a lot of ways, is bringing out the best and the worst in people, and people are being really hoodwinked, bamboozled, like in that movie X, the Malcolm X movie. What's his name? The actor. It's so early. I can't think this early. Denzel Washington, right? You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, etc. Yeah. So that's what's going on. But it is what it is. Life has always been a challenge and an adventure, and now we're in like this mega challenge. And like I said, for me, I feel like the universe rewarded me for all those years and decades. I've finally figured out something special, my own expression and artistic vision manifested into reality. Really came in handy when the whole world shut down over this contrived, bogus, disguised takeover, which is what all this has really been. No doubt about it. There's no doubt that this is just a takeover in disguise. But, the vast majority are just going to just fall victim to the indoctrination, the repetition, the constant repetition, the fear program, the fear-based mind control. It's a spell. They're casting spells, the broadcast, but I guess we'll see what happens. Over time, the cream rises to the top. Yeah. All right. So that's about it for this video. Just wanted to chime in, and yeah, if you're in San Francisco, go check out the Gregangelo Museum. If you want to do something fun, do the Crystal Mirror Space experience. That's me. And yeah, I have my hands full with that. I have so many clients I have to and I'm not being greedy where I'm like, yes, come on. Like, I'm just like, okay, let me just do 1 or 2 a week so I can make sure to make it special, for everybody, and put in the time. Because I put it, like I said, like I put in, like, for every client, I put in, it's no joke. It's not like, it's not a cheap knockoff made in China product that I'm gonna you buy in a trinket store and it's like marked up, but it's really cheap. Hell no. Like, I make sure, because it's my passion, I make sure that like every client I have, I put in the work, because I'm on the spot. Partly is like, hey, I'm about to be on the spot. I'm about to be like doing this whole concert for them, so let me be ready. And it takes so much work. It's ridiculous. Like, but that's what work is, right? Work takes so much work. Work is ridiculous. But at least here, I when all was said and done, like my last client, this lady Mora, who got the experience for her husband, she was like, "Wow, I thought this was gonna be cool, but this was even better than I thought. This was just amazing." Like they were so into it, and then, that's very satisfying because I do put in that kind of work. And yeah, I need to make a new outfit too. Like I wear it so much. My crystal mirror spacesuit. It's made out of this stuff too, and it's like they always get blown away, and um, it's fucking cool. Ah, damn it! I swear I wasn't supposed to swear because I'm trying to make it like. I noticed the other day I rewatched one of my videos, and I don't know if I did this or what happened, but it had subtitles, and I was like, did I? Why did, like it was, and it was getting it pretty spot on. I was surprised in that it was really you know so it lets me know that if there is well, obviously there is an algorithm, like a AI bot that's following every word we say. So I want to make it family friendly and accessible and not alienate or push away anyone because of their views, or I'm just sharing from my perspective as a artist, musician, not a hobbyist, but like a full-time, you know, artist, musician in San Francisco, in the most expensive city in the country, therefore the world. Um, what it's like in a sort of like an artless society, which is what we've been moved into, an artless. I mean, literally, like now there's like you're not allowed to be an artist, musician, like that's you can do that in the if you want to do it in your isolated in your room, in your isolation chamber, then sure, maybe, but you're not allowed to do it on any grand level. It's been systematically eradicated. Now they're talking about, oh, they're going to reopen, but limited capacity. Venues can only be 30% capacity, and everyone has to be masked up and 6 feet apart. It's like, come on now. Like, okay, so now you can have this slow death. We'll give you slow death. We'll throw you some crumbs just to gaslight the whole, you know, like society into thinking like, oh, we'll grant you this, we'll grant you that, whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's time to go because it's been 42 minutes. Oh my god, I've been talking for 42 minutes. That's crazy. All right, talk to you later.